The body of a missing Greenville man has been recovered from the Nolichucky River. The Tennessee Wildlife Resource Agency says the body of 32-year-old Boone McCreary was found by a search team around 2 o'clock this afternoon. Now, this comes after McCreary, his girlfriend, and his dog Moss were swept away by floodwaters after trying to help others. His girlfriend was rescued, but unfortunately, McCreary and his dog Moss did not survive. Now, 30 minutes before we received word from the TWRA about the recovery of Boone McCreary's body, the Tennessee Emergency Management Agency, or TEMA, announced the death toll had risen to 8 people. Of the 8 deaths reported by the Tennessee Department of Health that are weather-related, 3 are in Unicoi County, 2 in Cobb County, 1 in Washington, 1 in Johnson, and 1 in Knox County. Now, unfortunately, though, we do know that number is now 9 after the death in Greenville. The Tennessee Emergency Management Agency has also reported that the TBI is investigating 46 active leads on missing people. That's down from over 100 yesterday. We want to remind you that the TBI is advising you to call their hotline if you know of anyone missing after Helene. That number to call is 1-800-TBI-FIND, and you should be prepared to give as much information as possible. Tonight, the Carter County School Board meeting to discuss the school plan moving forward as Hampton High School was significantly damaged by Helene. News 5's Natalie Hillen was at the meeting tonight to get the details on what happens next.
The Carter County School Board had their first school board meeting Tuesday night. They're addressing devastating flood damage at Hampton High School.
The main goal tonight is to establish where they're at, what to do with the school as it sits right now as far as the debris and the flooding and the water and the mud. Figure out how to get that situation contained and isolated.
The inside and outside of Hampton High School has water damage, and on the inside, damage to the bottom level includes ruined floors and equipment.
Some CT equipment that was damaged. It was a heavy loss for our system for sure.
On Tuesday night, the school board approved $300,000 in funding, which will go towards cleaning up the school and building a temporary fence for safety purposes. The mission, getting students back into a safe learning environment.
The goal is just to get our students in school as quick as possible with as normal schedule as possible and get a little normalcy back for our students here in Carter County and our families.
During the next few days, the school board will come up with temporary ways to get the kids back in class.
At this time, we have several options on the table. We're not leaning toward anything in particular. We want to really take this time to evaluate what we feel will best serve our students and our families.
As for other schools in Carter County,
the infrastructure needs are the main things right now that are holding us back at most of our locations. And as those continue to improve, then the likelihood of going back to school will increase dramatically.
The Carter County School Board's next meeting to discuss options for Hampton High School is this Friday at 9 a.m. In Carter County, Natalie Hillen, News 5, WCYB.
The Tennessee National Guard also helping local emergency first responders assisting areas impacted by flooding. News 5's Kristen Kwan was in Unicoi County today with the latest information.
I'm here off Temple Hill Road in Unicoi County, Tennessee, where you can see behind me, crews are working with excavators right now to get rid of some of this debris left behind by the devastating flood. So I've been with the National Guard all day. This is what they're working on right now with their debris management team. They're working on getting some of this debris with the excavators, placing it into these dump trucks, and then taking it to burn piles, which are located throughout the county. But I spoke with Lieutenant Colonel Richardson earlier today. Here's what she said about the cleanup efforts.
Currently, right now behind us, we have teams that are working to remove debris, so that way then the utility workers can come in and restore electricity to this area. Also, it could be to clear roadways in order to open up the transportation networks and or gain access to communities that are still cut off right now.
Of course, we will continue to monitor the progress here and bring you the latest updates on air and online. Reporting in Unicoi County, Kristen Kwan, News 5, WCYB.
Meanwhile, Tennessee Governor Bill Lee making a stop in Unicoi County today, surveying the damage. News 5's Caleb Perney has that story.
I'm Caleb Perney on Temple Hill Road in Irwin, the site of so much of this devastation. Take a look over here. This used to be a house right where this mud pit is. And a fellow stopped by, told us that this was the family farm. They lost about half of it. You can see those logs over there in the Nolichucky River. That's where the riverbed used to be. You can see it's now some 2 to 3 times as wide. Governor Bill Lee came into town today to take a look at those damaged bridges on Interstate 26 that have cut off access to North Carolina for so many. Here's what he had to say about the recovery.
Heartbreaking. It is horrific. It is, at the same time, it is hopeful.
Yes.
As I see this community come together.
A lot of families are still waiting to hear answers about their loved ones and hoping that they're okay. Still a lot of pain and a long time to recover ahead. In Irwin, I'm Caleb Perney, News 5, WCYB.
The families of the workers missing from Impact Plastics in Unicoi County continue to search for answers about their missing loved ones.
He said that they haven't asked for pictures. No one asked me for pictures.
Those who escaped floodwaters from the plant say they were not allowed to leave even as the waters started to rise around them. One worker telling us that while managers evacuated the plant, workers were told to stay behind.
I said, "Can we leave?" And the woman said, "No, not until I speak with Jerry." About 10 minutes later, she came back and said, "Y'all can leave." It was too late. We had one way in, one way out. And when they told us we could leave, the one way out was blocked off.
Impact Plastics releasing a statement on Monday about the plant evacuation. We reached out to them again today to see if they wanted to respond to the workers' claims. They referred us back to their original statement from Monday that said in part that bilingual managers delivered the message to leave the area to the non-English speaking employees and that most left immediately. Some remained for unknown reasons. You can read the full story on our homepage at WCYB.com. News 5 is partnering with other media outlets along with Food City and the Eastman Foundation to help with storm relief. Food City and Eastman Foundation have each pledged $100,000 to kick off the fundraising campaign. Funds raised will benefit flood relief efforts throughout the region. The campaign started today and runs through October the 12th. That's next Saturday at all Food City locations in the region. Customers wishing to participate can make a monetary donation at checkout. The funds will benefit the United Way of Northeast Tennessee and Southwest Virginia Disaster Relief Fund. A couple who lived along the Creeper Trail in Taylors Valley telling their story tonight. News 5's Rebecca Pepin sat down with them today to learn more about their harrowing experience.
Linda and Carl McMurray have been married for 57 years. They've been practically inseparable until Friday, when floodwaters literally ripped them apart.
It was a beautiful day. The sun was shining.
Linda and Carl McMurray sharing their story, with the major bruising on Carl's face the only outward sign of their trauma.
The power had blinked about 3 times, and my neighbor called and she said, do you think you're going to be okay?
83-year-old Linda was born in this house that sits along the Virginia Creeper Trail.
It started raining hard.
The nearby White Top Laurel Creek had never been a threat before. Then, as the winds picked up, trees and entire trestles from the Creeper Trail began crashing into the bridge, creating a dam.
It came so fast.
The creek diverted straight toward their home.
And it came up to the porch, and then it burst through the living room window.
Carl, in a move that most likely saved his life, grabbed life jackets, and the couple ran to the second floor.
At first, the whole house floated.
It went like a bulldozer down through there, pushing outbuildings out of the way and stuff, and we got down through the about, a couple of football field lengths, and it settled over on a little higher ground and stopped, and I thought, this is going to be good.
But the ordeal was just beginning. The house cracked apart. Carl fell out.
I remember digging up, and she was up top, and Board hit me in the head. Next thing I was in the water clawing around.
The water carrying Carl away. He smashed his head on a gator before finally grabbing onto a bush.
And I yelled for 30 minutes at one time, at least.
Hours passed and hypothermia was starting to set in when he finally was able to flag down their neighbor Emily. She made her way to where she could get out a call, but at least another hour passed before help arrived.
The Black Hawk helicopter came and she directed it down in there.
And I saw them. I didn't know it was him, but I saw the helicopter and I thought they were looking for me.
Helicopters did look for Linda, but there was no sign. She would be stuck there for 16 hours.
Every time a log would hit the upper side, I thought it would take me on down. And all night I kept praying, repeating the Lord's Prayer and the 23rd Psalm.
A police officer showing up at their son Eric's home in Bristol.
He's like, you need to go to JMH Hospital now.
When Eric got to the hospital, his dad told him his mom didn't make it.
He looked at me and I looked at him and he said, I lost her. I couldn't hold on to her.
It was an emotional night, calling loved ones with the devastating news. Then the story changed. A friend had gotten word Linda was alive.
And a knock on the door at 2:30, and she walks in completely dry, a little bit of mud on her shoes, and they both hugged each other, broke down.
The couple now so very grateful for their rescuers and the love that surrounds them.
We're so blessed.
Are you okay with me sitting here? Yeah. Is this good? Despite all that's happened, the McMurrays plan to rebuild on their property in Taylor's Valley, where they love interacting with visitors to the Creeper Trail. Now, it may be a very long time before the tourist attraction is back open, but the McMurrays say they hope to be there waiting.
Well, it was senior night for the Unicoi County girls volleyball team, but unlike most teams on their senior night, the Blue Devils packed up and hit the road, with their gym being used as a shelter for those displaced by Hurricane Helene. So we go out to Bluff City, a moment of silence before the match as Sullivan East welcomed the Blue Devils into their home. Early on, it was all Lady Patriots. Kendall Hodge gets some help from the net, drops it in for the ace. Blue Devils would take a while to put a point on the board, but here's Madison Oaks, the laser down the line for the kill to get things going. Later, Abby Nilsey chalking up an ace of her own, trying to keep the Blue Devils in it. And Sullivan East would go on to win this one 3-0. And even though Unicoi County lost the match, News 5's Heather Williams finds out it was a win just to get back on the court.
It's been almost a week since the Unicoi County volleyball team has been on the court.
We were a little rusty,
but with good reason. Their county was one of the hardest hit during the flooding in Northeast Tennessee, and their home gym is now being used as a shelter.
Thankfully, me and my family were okay, but it's very devastating just seeing how it impacted our community.
So instead of practicing, these players have been helping their community rebuild.
Just helping out in the community a lot, and it's kind of sad to see everybody, but it's really good to be back here tonight and see more like smiling faces.
Tonight's return to the court for senior night, courtesy of their opponent, Sullivan East.
Just seeing the posters and the balloons, the little decorations really mean a lot.
Was a step down the road to a return to normal, something these students desperately need.
We all learned a valuable lesson from the COVID experience. These kids need these experiences. They need to play ball. They need to get out and have as much normalcy as possible.
I wanted them to be able to take the stress of what's going on in our lives and kind of set it aside so that we can get back into us and get back into being kids.
It was like a little break for us, just going back at it again. It felt so relieving just to have a little sense of normality again.
And they've learned over the past few days, much like the sign in the Patriot Palace says, tough times don't last, tough people do. In Bluff City, Heather Williams.
It's not that we're like moving on, but it's good to move forward.
News 5, WCYB.